and welcome to the Quincy Access Television studios. I'm Mark Crosby. Thank you for joining us for In Your Neighborhood, a program that looks at various wards throughout the city and helps you to stay informed. Joining me today, remotely, unfortunately, at least until this pandemic is under control, is the Ward 2 City Councilor, and that would be Anthony Andronico. Anthony, welcome. This is your first, not your first visit to QATV. Of course, my colleague Joe Catalano has had you on and numerous times in a different capacity, and also when you came on as the Ward 2 City Councilor.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark. It's great to be here and provide another update, I think, from a different perspective than I'm used to, but it's always a pleasure to join QATV to let people know what's going on, and today, to let folks know what's going on in Ward 2.
Just briefly, folks will know of your work with the Quincy School Committee. So why the decision to seek the council seat?
So, I mean, just over the last 3 years and having the opportunity to serve the people of Quincy, as a school committee member, and I know Councilor Kroll sought other opportunities, citing his growing family and trying to have spend more time with them. But I've had a great relationship with Councilor Kroll over the last few years, partnering together on a few different initiatives. And, now that he had left, I thought, I live in the ward. I've lived in the ward for a few different years. And my family has called Quincy Point home for over 100 years, actually. Grew up over on Edwards Street, South Walnut Street, James Street. And I figured that this was another way that I could give back in a new capacity. Just with my day job up at the State House as a legislative aide, I've had the opportunity to work on many of the issues that have affected people in Ward 2 and the city of Quincy, mainly around fighting the compressor station, and more recently over the last year is advocating for a smoother rollout of the COVID-19 vaccination and helping folks with unemployment issues get the resources that they need. So I, along with 4 of my neighbors in Ward 2, put themselves forward to step up into the role. And luckily, I think for me, the council decided to select me, and I'm really humbled by their confidence in me and the opportunity to serve in a new role.
My mom is a resident of Ward 2, so your ward, and she mentioned to me the other day that she received a card in the mail that said, "Hello, I'm Anthony Andronico." So she brought that up to my attention. I said, "Yes, Anthony and I will be speaking soon." So here we are today. I know there's places that we will visit on our tour of the ward. We're going to begin with Faxon Park. That is really just a stone throw away from where I grew up. I grew up on Hoover Avenue. My mom still lives there. Faxon Park, a gorgeous space, and there's a Friends group that is really taking control there.
Right, and I think just over the last year with COVID and staying home, a lot more folks working from home, I think more and more people have had the opportunity to really enjoy the park and see everything that it has to offer. So I'm really excited to have a new Friends of Faxon Park group that's been advocating more recently for the park and expanding resources and amenities so that more folks are able to enjoy the park. And I think they have a vision for what it can become. And I've worked with them over the past few months. I partnered with former Councilor Kroll and even QPD regarding some safety issues, just to talk about the state of the park and what we might want to see moving forward. And just as a bit of backstory, the city council way back in 2017 passed a capital improvement plan that included about $750,000 earmarked for Faxon Park for some improvements. And to date, those improvements have been limited just to increasing the size of the new overlook and improving the Red Diamond Trail, which is in front of the park, a little nature walk that's not too difficult. This around parts of the park begins over by the playground area, but making improvements to that and a bit more accessible for folks. And really, since that work, we've had the chance to talk with the Friends of group the past few months, and really the feedback that we've received so far from that group is the need to preserve the nature that's there. I think people really like that it's an escape from the city life that you can have here in Quincy. I know we talk about traffic, we talk about development a lot, but this is an area of the city I think that really needs to be protected and preserved, and I absolutely agree with their mission. So that's kind of where we're at this point in time, but there's still a few $100,000 left over to make additional improvements. And I know Department of Natural Resources Commissioner Dave Murphy has been working with his team to present a few different options. Not to say this is what needs to happen, but rather just to serve, I think, as a better starting point to let folks know the possibilities. And really from there in the coming months, folks should expect to hear from me, from the department, from the city, about opportunities for input into what they want to see moving forward. And I'm really excited about the opportunities that and the possibilities that are presented over at Faxon Park.
Well, not so long ago, I did do the Red Diamond Trail, a nice trail, and there's also a blue trail, right? A blue marked trail?
That's right, the Blue Dot Trail. It's less formal than the red one. It's a little more difficult for those that are a touch more adventurous. And again, with part of those efforts, it's the city's looking to better establish that Blue Dot Trail as a more formal trail and have markings. A lot of people know exactly where you are because you can get lost sometimes over in Faxon Park. It is a big space, but formalizing, I think, that trail for folks. To explore more of the park and some more nature.
I played baseball there years and years ago. I was on a team, the Red Sox, and at that point the Red Sox, our Boston Red Sox, weren't doing well, and basically I like to think we basically mirrored them in the day. But it was a lot of fun playing at Faxon Park, certainly a gem in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, I've played a few different games when I was growing up over at the ball field that's over there. So whether it's ball fields and more things like that, or preserving nature, there's something for everyone over at the park, and I think that we can do even more to make it a more welcoming space.
And just a note, when I said I mirrored them, I meant their record. We didn't have a very good record when I played, probably because I played. The next.
I think it depends on the year, right?
I'm sorry? It depends
It'll
on the...
depend on the year.
Absolutely.
You win the World Series in 2018, and then the next year you're not doing so hot, but hopefully they'll have a bounce-back year this spring.
True. But I must say that my performance as a baseball player was horrible. So, in any event, I had the opportunity to play. The 1000 Southern Artery, that's where we're visiting next, and just to give us an update regarding vaccinations for seniors.
Right, absolutely. I know I've had the opportunity to talk with a lot of seniors that are at 1000 Southern Artery who have expressed concern about when they're going to get the shot, because I know about a month ago, the first week of February, forms and notices were sent out to residents, letting them know that it was available, and if they wanted to participate, to please fill out those forms to let them know. And really, since then, there's been no movement for the folks that are 1000 Southern Artery. I know they're asking, well, why? So I know at the beginning of February, a few other senior buildings within Quincy Housing Authority had started to receive the shot, and that was through a partnership through Brewster Ambulance, the firefighters of Massachusetts and Quincy Fire, and a logistics company called Masscon. And we were 1 week into the program, and we were setting up to go to 1000 Southern Artery, and then the state needed to pull back on those types of programs, unfortunately, just due to a shortage of supply. And the state government decided to provide doses more to mass vaccination sites. They pulled back from local area hospitals, from these mobile clinics, and it kind of put pause on our progress as far as that's concerned. And then more recently, this past last week, we got word that the program could start back up again. And so we're working with the state right now to ensure that we'll have enough doses to actually follow through with the program. Because the last thing we want to do is tell folks okay, we're getting started. We're going to go forward again. You should expect to receive a shot next week, and then not have those doses delivered. 2 weeks ago, the state had 50,000 appointments available on their state website, but then just yesterday, they only had 12,000 available. And that was because they needed to catch up on second doses before they began delivering more first doses. So it's a work in progress, but I hope folks know, if they have concerns to please give me a call. I'm always available to walk through where we are at and making sure that our seniors at 1000 Southern Artery and our other senior buildings get vaccinated. And I know the city, the mayor's office, and the administration have been working tirelessly behind the scenes to get an answer from the state as far as when we can start back up again. Because our seniors, to be quite frank, they can't be traveling the 30, 45 minutes to a mass vaccination site at Fenway Park or Gillette Stadium and then stand in line outside for hours. We need to be given doses of the vaccine locally so that we can administer them where our seniors are.
Well, we're talking about COVID. Talk about food deliveries for families affected by COVID.
Right. I know the city was able to secure or participate in a state program that allows the city to deliver groceries to families who have to quarantine because of COVID. I know it's been really hard for folks. I think the further we've gone along, people are going back to work a little bit. But as you go back to work, you reintegrate, there's a little bit more risk, right, as we all know. And sometimes, you forget to go grocery shopping. You're not always prepared to have 2 full weeks worth of food in the house in case you come down with COVID. And that's where this program steps in. I don't recall the exact phone number, but I know if you call the city directly, they're more than happy to enroll you in the program. If you have COVID, you can't go outside, and deliver 2 weeks of groceries directly to you. It is a pre-sorted group of groceries, so you don't get to pick and choose exactly what's in your box there, but they will deliver right to your door to make sure that you stay safe and that your neighbors stay safe as well.
I do just want to give out your phone number and your email address for folks. It has been at the bottom of the screen, but if you could just tell us that as well. Right,
just as a reminder, people can anytime at my cell phone here at 617-376-1352, or feel free to shoot me an email at aandronico@quincyma.gov.
Excellent. So I'd like to hit a hot topic spot in your ward. It certainly has seen a lot of activity, a lot of protests, and that is the Weymouth compressor station, not physically in the city of Quincy, but close enough.
Right. It's right across the bridge there in Kings Cove Park. And, this is an issue I have become well acquainted with over the past few years. My day job, I work as a legislative aide for Senator O'Connor, who represents Weymouth and has been working to fight the compressor station since its potential inception in 2015. And personally, I've been working on this since I joined the office, a little before I joined the office, actually, for 3.5 years now, working against the compressor station. I've had the opportunity to speak out as a private citizen at meetings, participate in the health impact assessment that was done by the Metropolitan Area Planning Council for the state regarding the impacts that this project will have for the people that live in the Fall River Basin, whether it be Quincy, Weymouth, or Braintree. But the latest as far as that project is concerned is the Federal Regulatory Energy Commission has just issued a rehearing to review again once more the certificate that they granted to allow the compressor station to begin operating. And that was a decision that happened just a few weeks ago in February. And one of the concerns that was raised or needed rather for a rehearing was that in the first week that the compressor station went online for testing, it suffered 2 major failures and released tens of thousands of toxic gas into the air. And this is what residents have been saying for years who have been fighting against this station. is that it's not the right project, and it's not safe for residents. Typically these projects are done in the middle of nowhere, where there aren't thousands and thousands of neighbors on at least 50 acres of land. This one's on 4 acres of land, and it's on a waterway, and it's in an environmental justice zone. For this project to move forward is absolutely absurd, and I am happy to hear that there is a rehearing scheduled for the coming months, and hopefully a different decision will be made this time. But I do know that we're going to keep up the fight until this thing is online, and even then we'll do everything we can to slow the project down. And I did also want to mention, just this week, Mass DEP finally put in an air quality monitoring station within the Fall River Basin to test for air quality as we move along, something that we've been advocating for years. And I know FRAX, the Fall River residents, against the compressor station, didn't wait for that to happen. They today installed their 9th Purple local air monitoring station that you can equip at your home, and they have them all around the side of the compressor station, all the way in Germantown. They have it in the Weymouth Braintree Landing area. They've got it in North Weymouth, and of course in Quincy Point as well. So this is a real regional effort that we have been taking to fight against the compressor station, and I think there's still more work we can do.
FRAX, a very busy group. They have been in the studio, very proactive in their cause. I'd like to talk about development on Quincy Ave, and specifically looking at numbers 188 to 204.
Right. Yeah, this is a more recent project that I think was brought forward just before my time on the council. But effectively, there are 3, I believe it's multi-unit homes, 188, 200, and then 204, or 202, excuse me, Quincy Ave. And the lots that are there, there's a proposal for a redevelopment to put in, I believe it's 16 townhomes behind those houses that are there. Effectively, the lots that are there are very, very deep. They go very far back. And the proposal that's before the planning board, I believe they're going back on March 10th, is to leave the homes that are to the left and to the right in place, and to knock out the house that's in the middle and place a driveway that will allow you to go far back into the development. So it won't be able to be seen from the road, but you will be able to see it as you drive through and drive back. And some of the concerns that have been raised in general is traffic along Quincy Ave. I know it's been an interesting few months. There was the repaving, and then it was a 4-lane road, and then at some parts, more recently, it's been cut down with a road diet with 1 lane in either direction with a turning lane in the middle. And I know folks have been concerned about that. Some people like the road diet, some people don't. But for the most part, I know we're always looking to improve traffic flow there. And that's going to happen as we continue to develop in the city of Quincy, and there are more houses and more housing going in.
Well, certainly I remember the days pre-Walmart. Certainly there was a lot of discussion then about the increased traffic that would simply bring to that area.
Right. It's always a concern. I think whenever a development goes in, the city's always sure to conduct a traffic study. And I know as we move along, there are more people that live in the city of Quincy, and it becomes more and more difficult to try to constrain or work out a better traffic flow so that you're making sure that it's safe for pedestrians to walk around, for cars to drive around, as far as visibility is concerned. And also, people don't like hitting a red light every 2 blocks or 2 minutes and driving up their commute time within their own city. I know it's definitely something that I've noticed having grown up in Quincy. I know over the last few decades, the more and more development, there are side effects to that.
I do want to, bring us back to the pandemic, because it touches so many parts of our daily lives, and talk specifically about the restaurants in your ward. Restaurants in general, of course, have suffered from the phased reopenings.
Right. I mean, it's been really difficult, I think, for the service industry and for the restaurant industry in particular. They have always been there, I think, for the public and for the community, whether it's donating food to veterans groups, to folks in need, supporting your local fundraiser for a really good community cause, sponsoring local youth sports teams. They've always been there, always. And during this time when you can't necessarily dine in or folks aren't comfortable, I've at least been certain to go out and get takeout a few times a week. I think it's something that you need to be doing right now to keep them in your community, because these are your neighbors. But as far as the reopening is concerned, I know we're now in phase 3, step 2, and that's about, I think it's 50% capacity. Excuse me, it used to be 50% capacity. Now, with the updated phasing, there's no capacity limit, but you do still need to adhere to mask requirements and the 6-foot distancing. And I believe there are still limits on the size of the party that you're allowed to bring into the restaurant. But with that said, we have some great restaurants here in Ward 2. One of my personal favorites is Gennaro's over off of Quincy Ave. Like growing up in an Italian household, I'm pretty partial to some good home-cooked Italian meals, and Gennaro's always does the trick for me. So I love visiting them, saying hello to Jerry, and getting a good home-cooked meal over there. And of course, on the other side of the ward, you've got your mainstays like Coops. I know Coops has some outdoor dining, that section that's available. It's a great place to catch a sports game. I think you can catch the Celtics, the Bruins are on, and you've got the Red Sox coming up in just a couple months there as well. They've also got some awesome options to catch a game and meet up with friends. And then, of course, the last one, which is right around the corner from me, this is my personal favorite, is McKay's. It's the best breakfast spot, I think, in the city of Quincy. They're also always so friendly and welcoming. And, whether you're getting pancakes or a breakfast sandwich or something in between, or even lunch and dinner now, they're more than happy to serve you. And I always love stopping by.
Well, we did also have a shot of the Bay Point waterfront restaurant, and that, of course, is in Quincy Point. Great spot, too. You have absolutely gorgeous views.
That's right. And, people forget, Ward 2 has a lot of coastline and beaches, and I think it's important that, or it's great to see that we have the restaurant at the Bay Point restaurant, formerly the Inn at Bay Point, just to relax a little bit. I think as the weather starts to get a little bit better, a little warmer, that folks should go there as well. And of course, even if it's not, be sure to stop by to one of the great restaurants that we have here in the ward.
Absolutely. Let's talk about schools, and the Point Webster School specifically, because they just got some new interior lighting.
That's right. This is one of the last projects that I had a hand in as a member of the school committee, and one of the first projects I got to have a hand in as a counselor was just the project to replace the lighting fixtures over at Point Webster Middle School. And I know that doesn't sound like we'll say the coolest thing or update, but we replaced over 1,100 interior light fixtures with LED lighting over at Point Webster Middle School. And we did that through a $200,000 Green Communities grant from the state. And by replacing just that number of lighting fixtures in the school, when we're back to pre-COVID schedules and occupancy, we're talking about saving 167,000 kilowatts per year with this lighting. And that's savings of around 78% on your energy bill that you're going to realize over the coming years. But I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but this makes the building more energy efficient, and in the long run, it's going to help Quincy save money moving forward. And I think when you have the opportunity to do that, you need to take it. And I know we'll be looking forward to getting more green community grants in the future.
I'd like to, I believe, end with the speed feedback program. If folks are driving through the ward, they will notice these electronic speed signs.
Yeah, you may have noticed it over the past year or so. There have been a few more that have gone in throughout the city. I believe there are 34 or 35 throughout Quincy, but there are 10, or I think 10 to 12, depending, in Ward 2 here. And the speed feedback signs, they're just the electronic sign above the speed limit sign that gives you a real-time estimate of how fast you're traveling, just to remind you to take it easy. If you're going a couple miles over the speed limit, just slow down a little bit, and be sure to follow the law there. But yeah, there are a few difficult areas of the city that we wanted to emphasize, a few crashes that we thought, who were a touch more proactive, may not happen. And it's an effort to increase pedestrian safety and also vehicle safety. But there are over a couple of them on Sumner Street, on Quincy Ave, Faxon Park Road. There's one on Dysart Street. I know there's one up on Franklin. And I'm probably forgetting a few others, but they're sprinkled in throughout, just as a reminder for folks. And so far, we've had some positive feedback on that.
Well, I think you and I were talking prior to recording, and it does slow people down. It makes them realize how fast they were going. Most of the time, they didn't realize they were going as fast as they, in actuality, were.
That's right. And I'm guilty of it too, and I'm glad they're there. So I've been more mindful, even as I'm traveling throughout the ward, in the city and in general, without those signs, to just do a better job of watching the speed of my vehicle. And I think that's something that we can all do.
And the last, I guess, the real last thing I'd like to bring up is the Constituent Services website that you just launched.
That's right. You'd mentioned at the very beginning the welcome note. I think that your mother had received over on Hoover Road, and coming into this role in sort of an unexpected or rather unusual way during such unusual times, I don't really have the opportunity to go and say hello in person like I normally would to people. So what I've tried to do to bridge that gap is create a constituent services website, www.anthonyandronico.com. Where people can submit an assistance request. So let's say you have some concerns maybe about Faxon Park, or you need your street lights fixed, there's a pothole in your road, something like that. They can just very easily submit an assistance request form, and I get it right to my council email, and I can give them a call right away to better understand the issue. You can request a meeting with me. If you have an issue or maybe an idea for legislation that you want to talk about to improve the city of Quincy, you can submit that form and set up a meeting with me. You can sign up for the monthly newsletter, which I actually just sent my first copy at the end of February out to the folks that had signed up, to make sure you're updated on just the ward news. Not everyone has the time necessarily to sit down for 30, 40 minutes and catch up on the latest council meeting or watch the council meeting. They can be very long sometimes, but just providing an update through that as well. And of course, just getting to know me and learn more about my background, what I've done, what are the issues I'm focused on. It's just another way to make sure people know that I'm available to them in this role, and that more importantly, I'm listening to them. And on that note, as far as listening is concerned, I also want to let folks know on the website there is a constituent survey on there, where you can tell me directly what are the issues you want me to focus on in the city of Quincy, what do you want me to focus on within Ward 2, and what are some of the qualities you'd like me to have as I move forward, what's most important to you. And that's just so critical as I move forward and get settled in. We're just over a month in on the council, that I do my best to represent the folks' views.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. We only have less than a minute left. A packed half-hour program with you. I really thank you for joining me and certainly welcome you back.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to let folks know what's going on. And of course, I'm looking forward to another segment sometime soon.
Great. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you at home for watching. This has been a program of Quincy Access Television. Please continue to watch QATV for more locally produced programming.